What would you do if life gave you wealth, status, and success, but left you longing for the one thing that truly matters? This is the story of Marcus Gray, a wealthy but deeply lonely entrepreneur, and Hannah Reed, a resilient single mother fighting to provide for her young son Liam. At 38, Marcus had everything most people dream of: a sprawling mansion, luxury cars, and a business empire that made him a household name. But beneath the surface of his polished life, there was an emptiness he couldn't escape. Marcus had a secret he carried with him every day: he couldn't have children. The judgmental remarks from his family and the silent pity in their eyes ate away at him, making him question his worth as a man. Meanwhile, Hannah was living a completely different life. Working tirelessly as a waitress in a small cafe, she struggled to make ends meet. Her only motivation was her 6-year-old son, Liam, whose bright smile gave her strength through even the hardest days. Two lives from opposite worlds collided one fateful morning when Marcus, seeking solace from his overwhelming thoughts, stumbled into Hannah's cafe. How could a woman like Hannah, grounded in love and resilience, change the life of a man like Marcus, burdened by loneliness and self-doubt? Their meeting was just the beginning of a story that would challenge everything they believed about themselves and each other. Marcus Gray lived in a sprawling mansion where every corner radiated luxury and sophistication. The towering walls not only protected his wealth, but also imprisoned his loneliness. On the surface, Marcus was a successful entrepreneur with an empire worth millions, but deep inside, he felt like an empty shell. He carried a painful secret: he couldn't have children. This truth weighed heavily on him, especially during family gatherings. The cruel remarks from relatives, "A man like you without children, what a waste," were like daggers to his soul. Each comment forced him to smile through the pain, masking the storm of inadequacy brewing within. At night, alone in his sprawling mansion, Marcus often found himself staring at empty hallways, wondering if all his success meant anything without a family to share it with. One morning, overwhelmed by his thoughts, Marcus decided to escape the suffocating confines of his mansion. He drove aimlessly, seeking relief from the unspoken pressures that had become too much to bear. As he wandered through quiet suburban streets, his eyes caught sight of a small cafe he had never noticed before. Something about the simplicity of the place compelled him to stop. The cafe's atmosphere was a stark contrast to the cold grandeur of his mansion. It was warm and welcoming, filled with the comforting hum of chatter and the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee. Behind the counter stood Hannah Reed, a woman with tired eyes, but an undeniable warmth in her smile. She moved gracefully, balancing trays and attending to customers with a kindness that seemed to radiate from within. Marcus couldn't help but watch her, drawn to her unpretentious charm. In that moment, something shifted in Marcus. The oppressive weight of his loneliness began to lift, replaced by a quiet curiosity about the woman before him. Hannah embodied a kind of authenticity he hadn't seen in years. As he sat in the cafe, observing Hannah's every move, Marcus realized how hollow his life truly felt. Despite all his wealth and success, he lacked the one thing he craved most: a genuine connection. Meeting Hannah wasn't just a chance encounter. It was the beginning of a journey that would force him to confront his own vulnerabilities and question everything he thought he knew about himself. As Marcus stepped into the cafe, he chose a small table near the window, where the sunlight softened the heaviness in his chest. His eyes followed Hannah as she moved gracefully between the tables, attending to customers with a dedication and gentleness that felt almost magnetic. When Hannah approached his table, she greeted him with a polite smile. "Good morning, how can I help you today?" Marcus, accustomed to commanding attention and deference, replied with an air of authority. "A black coffee, but make sure it's not watered down." Hannah raised an eyebrow, unfazed by his tone. "Of course. Just so you know, black coffee doesn't get watered down if brewed correctly." "Perhaps you mean an espresso?" Her straightforward response caught Marcus off guard. He wasn't used to being corrected, but instead of irritation, he felt something he hadn't in years: amusement. "Yes, an espresso," he said, nodding. When Hannah walked away, Marcus found himself studying her. Her calm confidence and refusal to be intimidated by his presence were unlike anything he had encountered before. It was as though she held up a mirror to him, reflecting the flaws and insecurities he had long tried to bury. When she returned with the coffee, Marcus couldn't resist asking, "How long have you been working here?" "Long enough to know that everyone has their own story, and sometimes a simple cup of coffee can make their day better," Hannah replied, her gaze steady but kind. Her words struck a deep chord in Marcus. She wasn't like the people who usually surrounded him, eager to please or gain his favor. There was an honesty and resilience about her that intrigued him. That morning left a lasting impression on Marcus. As he walked out of the cafe, he felt a new emotion stirring within him: curiosity. He couldn't shake the thought of Hannah from his mind. An idea began to take shape. He would offer her a job in his mansion, under the pretense of needing help with organization and upkeep. But in truth, Marcus wanted to get closer to her, to learn more about the woman who, in such a short time, had made him question everything he thought he knew about life and himself. The next evening, Hannah was wiping down the last tables at the cafe when Marcus walked in again. This time he seemed different, less rushed, more contemplative. "Can we talk for a moment?" Marcus asked, his voice softer than before. Hannah hesitated, drying her hands on her apron before sitting down across from him. "Sure, what's on your mind?" Marcus paused, carefully choosing his words. "I'd like to offer you a job. I know this might sound unusual, but I'd like to invite you to work at my home." "At your home?" Hannah blinked, surprised by his directness. "I don't even know you. What would I even do there?" "I need someone to help manage and organize the mansion," Marcus explained, leaning in slightly. "And of course, the pay would be significantly higher than what you earn here." Hannah sat quietly, weighing his words. As a single mother, she had always dreamed of giving her son Liam a better life. This could be the opportunity she had been waiting for, but she still felt unsure about trusting Marcus. Finally, she nodded slowly, though a nervous flutter remained in her chest. "All right, I'll take the job. But I hope you know I have no experience managing a mansion. I'll do my best." Marcus exhaled in relief, a small smile crossing his face. "I believe in you, Hannah. Thank you for giving me this chance." The next day, Hannah nervously boarded the bus, clutching the strap of her bag as she stared out the window. The enormous mansion came into view, and she couldn't help but feel small in its shadow. But then she thought of Liam, remembering the way his face lit up when she told him bedtime stories. This job was for him, and that gave her strength. At the mansion, Hannah was greeted by Clara, the longtime housekeeper. Clara's eyes scanned her from head to toe with a look that mixed suspicion and superiority. "Oh, so you must be the new helper," Clara said, her tone laced with doubt. "Yes, I'm Hannah," she replied, offering a tentative smile. "I'm here to help wherever I'm needed." Clara maintained her stern demeanor. "Well, young lady, we have strict rules here. I hope you won't disrupt how this house operates." Hannah met Clara's gaze, her own eyes shining with quiet determination. "I'll do my best." From his office upstairs, Marcus watched the interaction from a slightly open window. Seeing Hannah hold her ground against Clara's rigidity deepened his admiration for her. But he kept his distance, hiding the growing curiosity and emotion stirring within him. In her first few days at the mansion, Hannah worked tirelessly to prove herself. She cleaned every corner with precision, even under Clara's critical gaze. Despite her best efforts, Clara always found faults. "Everything must be perfect here," Clara would say, pointing out minor mistakes. "I'm not sure you're capable of keeping up with our standards." Hannah refused to let Clara's remarks bring her down. She remained silent, letting her dedication speak for itself. But the challenges didn't stop at her work. Clara began spreading malicious rumors about Hannah, targeting both the staff and Marcus. "Mr. Marcus," Clara said one afternoon as she entered his office, "that new girl, I'm not sure she's here for the right reasons. She seems like she's trying to win your favor for her own benefit." Marcus frowned but didn't reply. Though doubt started to creep into his mind, he continued to quietly observe Hannah. Amidst the rumors and tension, an unspoken bond began to form between Marcus and Hannah. He found himself drawn to her strength and the kindness she showed to everyone around her, especially Lucas. One afternoon, as Hannah tended to the garden, Marcus approached her. He paused, unsure why he felt compelled to talk. "These flowers look much better with your care," he said, trying to start a conversation. Hannah looked up, surprised by his compliment. "I'm just doing what I can. It's part of my job." Marcus smiled softly. "Sometimes, doing things for others is the most meaningful work. I can see Liam really enjoys your company." Hannah felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "I like him too. He reminds me of my own son, Liam." Moments like these made Marcus begin to imagine a different future, a life where Hannah and Liam could be his family. However, Clara had no intention of letting things progress smoothly. She intensified her efforts, spreading rumors that Hannah was only trying to manipulate Marcus for her own gain. Her toxic words created a tense atmosphere within the mansion. Despite the challenges, Marcus and Hannah found comfort in each other. Sometimes it was just a nod or a fleeting smile, but it was enough to build a connection that neither of them could deny. Clara wasn't ready to abandon her schemes. One morning, as Hannah prepared breakfast in the kitchen, she overheard hushed voices from two staff members. "Did you hear? They say she's pregnant, and it's not Mr. Marcus's child," one whispered dramatically. "Really? Do you think Mr. Marcus would believe that?" the other replied with a sly laugh. Hannah froze. She immediately knew only Clara could be behind such vile rumors. Determined to confront the issue, Hannah entered the living room where Marcus sat, reviewing some documents. "We need to talk," she said, her voice steady but her eyes betrayed her frustration. Marcus looked up, his expression weary. "About what?" "Clara's spreading rumors that I'm pregnant with another man's child," Hannah said, anger lacing her words. "Do you actually believe that?" Marcus hesitated for a moment before furrowing his brow. "I don't know what to think, Hannah. This house is filled with whispers, and I can't just ignore them." Hannah stared at him, her disappointment growing. "Do you honestly think I could do something like that? I'm not the person Clara is trying to paint me as. I'm here for my job and my son Liam, not to manipulate you." Marcus sighed, his gaze uncertain. "Hannah, I can't have children. If you're pregnant, I know it's not mine." His words hit her like a blow. Tears welled in Hannah's eyes as she looked at him, disbelief and pain evident on her face. "You truly don't trust me, do you? I've worked so hard to prove myself, but you still choose to believe Clara over me." The weight of mistrust was too much to bear. Taking a deep breath, she steadied herself before speaking. "I can't stay here anymore, Marcus. I need to protect my son and myself. I refuse to live in a house where I'm doubted and humiliated." Marcus's face fell, his eyes filling with regret. "You're leaving? You're not giving me any chance to make this right?" "What chance, Marcus?" Hannah replied, tears streaming down her face. "You don't believe in me. You've let Clara's lies control you. I can't stay." Grabbing Liam's hand, Hannah walked out of the mansion, leaving Marcus standing in stunned silence. Her heart felt heavy, but she knew she had to do what was best for herself and her son. As Hannah walked out, Marcus stood frozen in silence, the weight of her words crushing him. The emptiness of the mansion echoed louder than ever. Hours later, he sat in his office, his mind clouded with regret. "How could I have trusted Clara over Hannah?" he murmured, shame filling every part of him. Memories of Hannah's smile and her gentle care for Liam played in his mind, reminding him of what he had lost. Determined to make things right, Marcus stormed into Clara's office with a resolute expression. "Clara, I know exactly what you've done," he said coldly. "You spread lies about Hannah. You destroyed the family I could have had." Clara, initially composed, began to falter under his piercing gaze. "I was just trying to protect you, Marcus. She's not good enough for you." "Protect me? No, you were trying to control me." "Clara, I don't need your help anymore. You're fired, effective immediately," Marcus declared firmly. Clara's face twisted in disbelief, but Marcus was unyielding. As she left, he realized that firing her wasn't enough to fix what had happened. He needed to find Hannah, apologize, and prove that he had changed. Marcus began his search, reaching out to friends and colleagues who might know where she had gone. Finally, he learned that Hannah was living in a small town a few hours away from the mansion. When he arrived, Marcus spotted her through the window of a modest clothing store. She was arranging shirts on a rack, her expression calm but distant. "Hannah?" he called out, his voice filled with urgency. Hannah looked up, her eyes wide with surprise, but also guarded. "What are you doing here, Marcus?" she asked, her tone sharp but tinged with sadness. "I came to apologize. I was wrong. Clara manipulated everything and I let it drive you away," he said, each word carrying the weight of his sincerity. Hannah stood there, her emotions torn between hurt and hope. This time, however, the sincerity in Marcus's eyes gave her pause. "You hurt me, Marcus. Your doubt made me feel unworthy," Hannah said, her voice trembling. "I know, and I'll do everything to make it right," Marcus replied, stepping closer. "Hannah, I don't want to lose you and Liam. You're the family I've never had. I can't imagine life without you." Hannah remained silent, searching his face. She saw a changed man, no longer cold and distant, but someone willing to fight for the people he loved. "We'll start over, Marcus," she said after a long moment. "But you have to prove that you've truly changed. Not just for me, but for Liam too." Marcus smiled, tears shimmering in his eyes as relief and hope washed over him. He slowly dropped to one knee, his voice trembling with emotion as he pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. "Hannah, I've made mistakes, but I've never been more certain of anything in my life. You've shown me what it means to truly love and care. Marry me and let's build the family we both deserve." Hannah gasped, tears welling in her eyes. She knew this wasn't just a gesture, it was a promise. "Yes, I will," she whispered. Life at the mansion transformed completely. Marcus became a devoted father figure to Liam, working with Hannah to create a warm, loving environment. But both of them yearned for one more thing. They wanted to expand their family. They sought medical assistance. Initially, their attempts at IVF were unsuccessful, leaving them both heartbroken. Yet Marcus stood by Hannah every step of the way, holding her hand during doctor visits and encouraging her to keep faith. "We'll get through this, Hannah. You're strong, and I'll always be here," Marcus reassured her after another failed attempt. Finally, after months of heartbreak and waiting, a miracle happened. Early one morning, Hannah stood in the bathroom, her hands trembling as she held the pregnancy test. Her breath caught in her throat as two faint lines began to appear. Tears filled her eyes, disbelief and joy flooding her all at once. "Marcus!" she called out, her voice shaky. When he rushed in, concern written all over his face, she held up the test with a radiant smile. "Being pregnant, we're having a baby." Marcus froze, then pulled her into a tight embrace. "Really? We did it." Their joy doubled when, at the next appointment, the doctor revealed Hannah was carrying twins, 2 baby girls. The news filled their home with excitement as they prepared to welcome their little angels. Marcus and Hannah proved that love and patience could overcome any challenge. Liam was thrilled to become a big brother, and the once cold mansion became a lively, loving home filled with laughter. Happiness didn't come easily, but for Marcus and Hannah, it was always worth the fight.